So hey guys, I was trying to find some stalker stories, and I usually read from an article because I don't want to take from like the subreddits on Reddit because I don't have permission to use those stories. So I usually try to find an article or something to read from. So I found an article for like short, terrifying stalker stories, and I'm just gonna get into this video. But if you guys know anybody that would actually let me read their stalker story or any scary stories like that, I will have my Instagram down below. Just DM me, and I will read your stalker story. So let's just get right into this video, okay? Or any scary story, really. It doesn't have to be just stalker stories, but it could be any kind of scary story. If you want to, like, DM me on Instagram or whatever, any scary story, or even a funny story, or just any story that you're comfortable with telling me and you want me to read it on my channel, just let me know. Okay, so it says 25 people confess their terrifying stalker stories. So I picked these because these are shorter and my throat is giving out because I've been filming for like quite a long time. I've been pre-filming a lot, like quite a bit. So let's just get in the video. So this is number 1. This guy would drive by my house whenever I was outside. He'd do donuts in our driveway at 3 a.m. I get calls of breathing into the phone. It ended when the guy did the donuts in the middle of the night thing, and my dad went after him with a shotgun. The guy had a gun as well and shot at my dad from out of his window. The guy insinuated to my father that I was a whore, and my dad picked him up by his throat and slammed him against his car. I wouldn't want to encounter that, Dad, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word on camera, so maybe I should go back and... Well, I've heard people say that word, so I don't know. We'll just leave it in there, I guess, but I would never tolerate somebody calling me that word. I would beat the shit out of them, honestly. So let's go to number 2. Found out this girl had a crush on me. I rejected her over the next year. She sent me messages, so I started to block her. She rang at my doorbell, woke me up, etc. When I went to another college, it didn't stop. I live in Berlin, Europe's capital of graffiti. She started bonding with a radical sprayer crew. I haven't heard from her in months when I got a Facebook message from the gang leader saying he'd kill me. A few days later, I got a message from the girl stating it's because I'm not in love with her. This girl seems crazy, like super, super crazy. I don't know. I wouldn't want to mess with her or her gang or whatever. 3. I was walking home from the store and glanced behind me and saw I have terrible vision. A golden retriever followed me about 100 feet away. This was in a residential neighborhood, so I didn't think twice about it. After a few blocks, it was still following me, so it was still following me, so I thought maybe it was lost. I turned around and called to it, something generic like, "Come here, fella," at which point it froze and did that very distinct "I'm a cat and you can't see me" move. Frozen still, back arched, as low to the ground as possible. It was a mountain lion. So, I mean, that is still scary, but it wasn't at least a human stalker this time. It was an animal stalker, but that's still terrifying. Like, I would not want that to be following me. No, thank you. Had a girl who liked me, but... This is number 4, by the way. Had a girl who liked me, but I wasn't too keen on her. Over here, my plans for a night. She was at the bar with me and some friends were meeting at... Or she was at the bar me and some friends were meeting at. Sorry. Excuse me. They needed to use correct grammar and punctuation and all that. She also had the ticket for the same movie we were going to see. She managed to convince my friend, without me knowing, to drop her off at my place. She broke into my house and waited naked in bed for me. Problem was, it was my roommate's bed, and my roommate was not impressed. The way they wrote this was kind of weird. But yeah, that girl's definitely crazy. Like, these crazy stalkers give us other women, like normal women, a bad name. Oh, and by the way, this article is by Alex Kogan. I will leave, like, obviously, the link down below. There was this creepy guy who went to my high school. About 5 different girls had restraining orders against him through the school, so he couldn't have a locker near them or any classes with them. One of my friends rode the bus with him, and he always talked to her. Even though he was creepy, she didn't want him to get angry. One day when the bus is stopped outside of her house, he hands her a laminated drawing of her face and says, "I know where you live." Stapled to the drawing was a lock of her hair. That is so freaking creepy. Like, if a guy ever did that to me, I would get a restraining order on him too. Like, if he followed me home, I would get a restraining order on him because that's freaking creepy. So yeah, that was number 5, by the way. This is 6. I can't remember. Oh, there's 25 of these, right? Guy contacts me about my pictures of abandoned buildings on Flickr, asking if I know how to get into a certain one. We talk about maybe going together. I give him my number, and he constantly calls asking when to go. I get nervous and call it off and ignore him. One day I'm home, and there's banging at the door. It's the guy. He casually explains he pieced together my address from pictures I'd taken that I mentioned were near my house. He leaves but continues contacting me for 2 years, but never shows up at my door again. I'm glad he never showed up at your door again, but like, you should have got the police involved like right away. And I know it's so scary and you are afraid like, oh, maybe this guy is just lonely or something, but you should have called the police. Like, I would have called the police and got a restraining order on him. This is number 7. In high school, this girl, Sarah, started acting like we were dating. Whenever I went to my locker, she would sneak up behind the open door and be just standing there. I wore number 32 for the football team called the Rams. The day after our first game, I get added on Messenger by Sarah, Rams 32. One time my coach asked me what the deal was with Sarah, asked why she came to my office, and asked why I wasn't helping you get better stats since she wants you to go to get a scholarship and go to the NFL. She started following me home and calling my house. Again, I would have gotten the police involved at this point, or just like told her like, hey, I don't like you, you're being really creepy and disgusting, and I just don't find you attractive, like, leave me alone. But a lot of people are too nice for that, you know. Okay, this one is mental health, so I can understand this one. Oh, and it's got hints of ending themselves. So if that triggers you, I wouldn't like listen to this story. So he has schizophrenia, which I didn't know at first. I was nice to him and he latched on to me. He wrote a book which is apparently about me. I've never read it. He left me alone for 15 years while he was medicated, but suddenly mailed me a package of bizarre items. He would send rambling letters to me about how much he loved me, but he didn't have my number. But he did have my parents and harassed them. I had to contact the police in 3 towns. He would threaten suicide and ended himself. Yeah, I can't say that on YouTube, but you get what I'm saying. Like, he's no longer alive. Okay, so number 9. I know I don't mean to like brush over that, but that was scary and sad at the same time. Sorry, like, I know what it's like to be suicidal, so I know. So number 9, new kid in high school. He was quiet, so I tried talking to him during class. He flips and tells me how ugly and fat I was. I got upset and stopped talking to him. This pissed him off more. He'd do these usual ugly routine, but then he'd tell me about outfits he wanted to see me in. He was dressing me up in his mind like a doll. At the end of the year, he came in with a box. Out of it, he pulled pictures of me that had been dressed up like paper dolls. I realized that the pictures he had been taken were from the entire year. He followed me around to get pictures that he cut out and dress up. I feel like he probably has a mental illness too. Maybe he's not mentally stable, but he should have just like told a teacher or something and like got the fuck away from him. Just saying. I know it's like scary and hard because it's like you're in school and you can't really prove that he's stalking you, but like with the pictures and stuff, yeah, you could have proved he was stalking you with those pictures. I was on a bus and a really drunk girl started talking to me. She wasn't my type, but I was politely making conversation. She was talking about how her boyfriend kicked her out. Eventually, she told me that she wasn't wearing underwear, followed me off the bus to my house, and was talking about how she was going to force me to sleep with her. My housemate at the time had dreadlocks and a full-sleeve dragon tattoo. I texted him asking him to answer the door holding a baseball bat. It seemed to do the trick. She had a whole ass plan to like maybe get you, I don't know, get her pregnant, like maybe trap you or something. I have no idea. That's scary though. Okay, so let's see. This is number 11. My TA was emailing me nonstop. She was Korean and couldn't speak English very well, but she blatantly flirted with me. I was ignored that part of her email, but answered her regardless out of the courtesy. I noticed she began to stalk me around campus, and I started getting creeped out. I told her to please stop, and she insulted me, saying I seduced her and she would tamper with my grades. I didn't want to report her. I guess I was being too nice. Most people are. She gave me 100% on my final. I left 5 questions blank. She followed me around for the semester after that as well. You needed to report her. That is super creepy. And I get that you were trying to be nice. Like, most people don't want to do things because they're trying to be nice. But you needed to, like, report her for sure. I'm gonna get a drink real quick, guys. My throat is killing me. I've been, like pre-recording videos for, like, 2 to 3 hours already. So, yeah, my throat is kind of going out. Okay, so it says 12. My sister and I have been watching TV when she thinks she sees someone at the window. I tell her she's nuts, then just to make her feel better, I go to the window and look out. There was a guy outside the window. I was 11 and in my underwear, so I freak out. It's also a kid from the school I went to. I go out there dressed at this point, and he says he wants to kiss me. I say no. He refuses to go until I kiss him. He says he'll jump if I don't. I say go ahead and jump. I go to fake push him. I accidentally push the kid and he almost goes over. He calls me crazy and bells. Well, at least he probably won't bother you now, even though that's really sad and scary and whatever. He just wanted to kiss, but you obviously aren't interested, so I don't blame you one bit. 13. My story is kind of sad. This mentally challenged kid had a crush on me, so he would stop me and draw pictures of us together as girls. I wasn't the only person he stalked. Oh, that makes me really sad because I have like friends that have autism, so I kind of understand, and you don't want to hurt their feelings and stuff, so I completely understand that story. I met this guy at the pub. At first he was nice. We met up and he immediately tried to kiss me. Excuse me. I didn't like that. I told him that I wasn't having it. After that, he kept harassing me. At first, I politely replied, hoping he'd get the hint, but he wouldn't stop. Then I stopped replying. After a couple of months, I ran into him at the same pub. He told me that after I stopped replying, he had a nervous breakdown and he had tried ending himself. Sorry, I didn't know that was in there, so sorry. He said we should get together again. I told him again I wasn't interested, to which he replied, that's okay, I'll make you like me in the end. Okay, so, like, I've mentioned this before, like, I literally told this guy no multiple times on my, like, he was trying to flirt with me through my channel. I told him no multiple times. He wouldn't stop, and I had to get my pretend boyfriend involved, and he finally stopped and left me alone. But I shouldn't have had to get, like, a fake boyfriend involved to tell him to leave me the fuck alone. Anyway, so I know what you're going through, and I'm so sorry that he was harassing you. At least I never met this person in person, though, my experience at least. So this is number 15. First girlfriend I had begged me to sleep with her, so eventually I caved. I did the stupid thing and came inside her. The next day, not liking the circuses of my first time, was previously a virgin, dumped her. This led to the following: fake pregnancy, 3 a.m. phone calls, waking up to see her outside my window, phone calls to my mom telling her I was a neglectful father, emails from her new boyfriend who evidently knew nothing about the rest. So this is my thing. Never let somebody like force you into something you don't want to do, and That's the best advice I can give, is just don't, if you say no, just keep saying no, and don't let them force you to do something you don't want to do. 16. I was a freshman in college, and this guy apparently thought I was cute and got my number from a friend. I started receiving calls and text messages. I was naive, small town girl, bigger city, and didn't think much of it until I walked into my dorm room and found him sitting by himself in the dark on my roommate's bed. Well, I ran out of there quickly. Had to get my guy friends to walk me around campus for a while. That's creepy. Oh, gosh. If you're a friend and, like some guy asks you for your friend's number and the person, your friend doesn't know this person, do not give them your number. Don't give them your friend's number. Don't give them your number. Just don't do that. That's weird and wrong. You should ask your friend's permission first before you give some stranger their number. So, number 17. I was 15 and Chris was the oldest son of one of my dad's friends. He would stare at me whenever Dad wasn't looking. He starts coming over more until one day he shows up when Dad's not there. I'm in the shower. He flings the door open and stares me up and down. I go from shock to full Doberman. I scream if he comes near me, I'm going to chop off his balls if it's the last thing I ever do. He ran out of the house while I stood in the doorway still naked, screaming at him. From then on, I rarely saw him. Well, you gave him a scare for his money. You gave him a heart attack probably. You gave him a run for his money. I'm glad that he's left you alone after that. 18. I started getting phone calls from a non-responsive stalker every night. One night I got home drunk and he called. Instead of cursing him out and hanging up like usual, I started to talk. I asked him who he was, no answer. So I told him beep once for yes or two for no. We started talking that way. I learned that he knew me from high school. He was not going to hurt me and that he was in love with me. For the next few years, I developed a friendship with my stalker, never once hearing his voice. That's a little strange, but I guess it's a happy ending. I'm not real sure. It's still creepy, but I guess it's a happy ending. I don't know. Number 19. I was a hostess and I started getting creepy calls. One night the person called multiple times, and the last time started saying all kinds of foul things about what he'd do to me. I told my manager. We figured that it was just a prank call. A couple of nights later, it started again. He said the same creepy stuff. He also knew my name, what time I got off work, and what kind of car I drove. My manager called the police, but they said there wasn't much they could do. For a few weeks after that, I wasn't ever allowed to walk to my car alone. Which I'm glad your manager was like, nope, you're not walking to your car alone, because who knows? There might be a crazy person out there. Your stalker might be out there. So I like your boss for sure. And that's creepy. Too bad you didn't know who it was. Then you could have got his ass arrested. 20. One night, I'm walking to my car, and a guy walks towards me with roses. He says he's blank from Xbox Live. I say calm and say, I have to get home. He follows me, and I run a red light, so a cop pulls me over. I tell him everything, and the whole time he's parked a block away watching. The cop stares at him like an idiot, so he drives off. The cop follows me home. I don't go to work the next day. My boss says his car kept driving by. Later that night, I hear noises. I call 911, and the police come and catch him trying to pry my window open. They find duct tape, 13 knives, and a lot of drugs. Well, that's terrifying. That's a stash that I would never want, especially the duct tape and the 13 knives. But I'm not surprised he's on drugs. That's really creepy. 21. I met this guy at orientation, and he was weird. Fast forward 2 weeks into freshman year, and I noticed that he had switched into my I can't talk. I'm sorry, guys. I'm talking so fast. I'm sorry. Let me start over. I met this guy at orientation, and he was weird. Fast forward 2 weeks into freshman year, and I noticed that he had switched into my biology lecture. He asked one of my friends to move so he could sit beside me, begins calling and texting me for a month, and begins randomly showing up at my room. One day I decided to take a nap in the middle of the day before dinner. I went to the side of this guy staring a foot away from my face. I then yelled. He told me that he was waiting for me to wake up. I told him to leave and make sure I never saw him again. That is extremely, extremely, extremely creepy. I would probably murder a bitch. I don't even care. You're not supposed to be in this room. What are you doing? Why are you watching me sleep? So this is number 22. We're getting close to 25. And this is probably going to be a long video. I'm sorry. When I was in kindergarten, there was this girl who was in my class that was kind of a weirdo. Never really had much interaction with her. Then one day I remember my mom asking about her and saying that her mom had told my mom she slept with a life-size paper doll that she made of me. Then one day my mom was driving me home and this girl and her mom were following us. My mom seemed quite unnerved. Suspect my mom had some words with her mom and put a stop to it. That's extremely freaking creepy. And the fact that the mom is helping, maybe they're both mentally ill or something. I don't know. I really don't know. Like, that's so scary and creepy. Luckily, your mom was there and told the other mom off. 23. Old girlfriend of mine used to work with me at the auto parts store. She used to deliver parts to the auto shops around town. She had some Nigerian follow her all the way back to the store, honking at her. She quickly ran inside and hid in the back while he was screaming and shouting for her to come out and give him her phone number. Cops had to be called to get this guy to leave. At the end, he was just screaming, "Send out the girl," over and over again. So I did not write this, by the way, so they said Nigerian. I don't know why that's relevant. I guess maybe because she's Caucasian. I'm not sure, but that's scary. It doesn't matter, like, there's bad people in every race. That's what I've always said. Like, there's bad white people, there's bad black people, there's bad people in every single race, not just, like a certain race. Anyway, and I'm not saying that to offend anybody, I'm just saying it's true. There's bad people, like, in every race, including my race, for sure. 24. I worked for a Verizon retailer and sold a phone to a guy. He had my work cell and began to text me and stop by work every day. One night after I got home, I got messages from him commenting on my neighborhood. Aren't many cops around your neighborhood? The next day, I changed my number. Months later, I was working alone, and I guess he saw my car and called the store and said, "Oh, look, it's the little bitch who is too good to talk to me, and she's all alone. What the fuck would you do if I showed up and cornered you? I got a restraining order." I'm glad you got a restraining order. That's fucking creepy and disgusting on so many levels. And finally, we're at number 25. An unpopular kid I was slightly friendly with in my first year of high school got into an argument with me over handball or something equally stupid. He then followed me home after school every day for like 3 months, spinning scissors around on his fingers even though he lived in a different direction. He was weird. That's really freaking creepy. Those stories were scary. They make me not like people even more now than I already do. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm so sorry it's so long, but that was 25 stalker stories. If you guys have any stories that you want to share with me personally and let me read on the channel, or somebody that has a scary story and they would let me share on my channel, please send me a DM through Instagram. I'll leave my Instagram down below if you want. Or if you have any fake stories that you would like me to read. I love reading scary stories so much. And I really appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.